video continuation. So we're going to start with D Dorian. That's mostly what we're working with within the tune. And so we're going to go ahead and start out with an interval of a fourth. And so we're going to harmonize the scale in fourths. Okay. So I'm going to start here. In other words, we're not going to use any open strings for this moment. And we're going to use the center four strings of your guitar. So we'll omit the E string and we'll omit the other E string in this case. You don't have to do it that way. This is just one way to start. We could have omitted strings 6, 5, and 4 and just used 3 strings. There's a million things you can do, but this is just a good foundational way for you to do this. It leaves us a little bit of room underneath and a little bit of room up top, hence the center 4 string. So in D Dorian, I'm going to start out on the note B. You know that's the 6th. It's a natural 6 in the scale. I want to find a 4th up from this note, and it has to be in the scale. It's got to be diatonic to the scale, okay? So that B goes up a 4th to E. The E will go up a 4th to A. These are all notes in the scale. And A will go up a 4th to D. So when I put all those together, I have this chord. Okay? And again, we can name these lots of things depending upon what key we're using them in and what they are. So again, this is like a B minor 11, right? Sort of. But I'm not really thinking about it that way. I'm thinking about it as something to play on D minor. That's our whole goal here. So if a bass player is going, I should be able to go, works great. It's a real McCoy-Tyner kind of pianistic sort of approach, right?
Right.
All right, so that's what we get out of that. And by the way, the other chords that I was using, if you didn't notice, which I'm sure you did, were all the same form. I was just only using them where I knew they were applicable to D minor. And of course, I was taking some chromatic liberties just to fill space. But that was my only tool for that whole thing, was to go. You can get a lot of music out of just that, okay?
Yeah.
So let's continue on though with the harmonization of the scale. And so if I look right next door, we were on the 6 before, now we're on the flat 7. I'm talking about D Dorian again. Flat 7, okay, up a 4th to the 3rd of the scale, okay, up a 4th again, but it's actually a sharp 4, right, because B flat is not in the D Dorian scale, so we can't use it. So we're up to B natural, okay, up a 4th again brings us to E, and if you play this chord just by itself, it definitely is kind of like, ooh, dude, tune your guitar. But once again, if you're in the context, remember this is about, you know, consonance and dissonance, I guess you could say, right? And so if you're in the context of our impressions thing and you start going, all of a sudden, wow, we're making music with it. Yeah, I didn't just start and go, you know, that would be pretty asinine.
Yeah.
I've played with players that do that. I'm ashamed to tell you. So anyway, so that's the next one. Let's keep moving through the scale. I won't give you an example each time. I just wanted to show you how one of the tense ones worked with a bunch of the consonant ones. Okay, so we go to our next degree of the scale, which is D. I hope I don't have to explain this one. D, up a 4th to G, up a 4th to C, and up a 4th to F. If we take that whole thing and slide it up again, that's because we're on the 2nd degree. We have the exact same intervallic structure, right? Or I should say same hand position or same grip. And that's E, A, D, and G, pedaled over D again, right? And this is almost like our example, I think, last week. We were talking about playing E minor over the D minor. You know, this is that same approach, but instead of playing single note, we're doing it within a chord. So that's that one. And let's go up one more time. So now we're on the 3rd of the chord. Well, I can't go up a 4th because it's not in the scale, but I can go up a sharp 4 because it's in the scale. F to B, B to E. And I kind of finger it this way, and then I use my pinky to grab the A, which is up a 4th from E. So it looks like an F major 7 flat 5.
Right, yeah.
Right. Yep. And the next one's a really cool one. So we're on the 11 of the scale, or the 4th of the scale. Okay. So it goes 4, 7. I'm making reference to D Dorian. 4, 7, 3, 6, and that's this. It's probably my favorite sounding minor type chord. I know that probably rubs some people the wrong way, but that has all the right stuff for me. It's just really floaty. You can pull whole tone off on top of that. It's just really kind of cool. But anyway, so having that, you're going to move up to one of these. I'm at the 5th of the scale, and so this works all the way across, straight and fourths. Looks like an A minor 11 if you wanted to say that, right? And then we started at B, so essentially we would finish there. So we have the whole scale now, just that we started from the 6. 6, 7, root, 2nd, flat 3rd, 4, 5, and back to there. So, again, in that comping way, and you can tell, if you just save the tensor ones for the end, and only use them that way, I mean, there's, again, a million ways you can do this, but if you save the tense ones for the end, you get a really cool thing. So, I'll give it one shot here. I'll go a little bit slower, too. Make it really, really kind of 70s groovy. Davis, you know, Birth of Cool, you know, I mean, that's kind of, you've obviously listened to Kind of Blue, I'm sure you have, and so, I mean, this is sort of kind of along those lines. So, that's one set of harmonizing a scale, and so I know from that lengthy example, you'll be able to expand upon that on your own. Let's take a different one. So we just took one interval that time, just a fourth. Let's go with two intervals and make them different intervals, and so, for this example, we'll do a second and a third. Now please keep in mind that the second could be a flat second or a minor second, whatever, however they're teaching you in school these days. A minor second or a flatted second, and the third can be a flatted third or could be a major third, a perfect third or a flatted third, if you will. It doesn't matter because, again, our rule or our goal is that we're following this through an entire scale, and the scale we'll use for this one will be F major. So we're going to work within the scale of F major. We're going to take an interval of a second and a third, and we're going to put those together and harmonize the scale in that fashion. All right? So I'm going to start, just because I can, I'm going to start on the note A. Okay? And so I'm in the F scale, and I'm going to start on A. Well, what's a second away from that that's in the scale? Well, the truth is it's B flat, right? Because it's a flatted second away. And so that brings me over to here. I get that nice kind of thing going. And now our goal is to go up a third from that. So if I'm in the F scale and I'm on the note B flat and I go up a third, I'm going to get D natural, okay? And that leaves me with this kind of hand configuration. Right? So a few things that I want to say about this before I do anything else is, yeah, sure, that sounds just like G minor, because it is, like a nice G minor 9, but we got the 9 next to the flat 3, which is a real pianistic sort of thing, once again, right? But make no mistake about it that this chord has other possibilities. So by adding the root E flat, for example, nothing to do with the key of F anymore, by adding the root E flat, we have a really cool voicing for an E flat major 7 flat 5. Really pretty. You get a nice cluster right next to there. If I was to do that and add a B flat to it, you get kind of a strange empty sounding B flat major 7. But if I put the 9 in, it's really pretty, you know. So you can experiment with these not only just in the forms that, in the way that we're doing them now, but also in other ways that you can find some nice unique chord voicings of your own, you know. Depends how crazy you like to get. I mean, I know guys, you know, like if you listen to a lot of Alan Holdsworth, you'll hear him play chords like that a lot, you know. Or you'll hear like for like a dominant 7 flat 9, stuff like this. You know, so you can get pretty out there with it. Alan's whole trick is to never repeat a note in a chord, even though he doesn't really state it that way. His whole trick is a 4-note chord has to have 4 different notes. On guitar, we always forget that, you know, because our only real forms of that look like this. You know, this kind of, I don't even play these, but what would that be? Yeah, like this stuff. You know, that's 4 different notes in the chord. Right? But when you play a chord like this, it's not 4 different notes in the chord, right? 2 of them are G's. Right? You know, so that's like Alan's little trick, you know. Just in case you wanted to know that. So if you took the E scale and harmonized it and started out like this, you'd have some really nice stuff as you move your way up. Like, you know, just, I don't really feel comfortable grabbing those, but some people, they're freakazoids and they can do that. All right, anyway, so back to our example. So here's this little G minor thing. Well, I want to go up the scale again, right? And so my next note is B flat. Remember our rule, up a second, and then up a third, right? Up a a second, up a third, up a second, up a third, right? Up a second, up a third, right?
Oh.
And so you can do that, and so you've got stuff like that already, which is, you know, you can see I have to take like the crouching tiger position to like be able to play it, but that's just because I have a small pinky. But anyway, so yeah, so those are really some cool things. And so if we were pedaling, you know, and that was going on underneath, and you were just going to comp. Music with just that. You can write a tune, you can do a whole bunch of cool stuff. I actually have a tune that goes like that. So anyway, you know, let that be sort of a seed to plant for you that helps you, you know, kind of look into exploring those possibilities, you know, to just look at that. And again, you can look at them like they're chords. I don't want to mislead you. There's no doubt it is a chord. But I think that we benefit maybe a little bit more from it because we already play a bunch of chords. We already know how to play chords. We benefit when we have a tune like Impressions or several other tunes where you maybe have a chord that lasts for an entire measure without any movement, you know. If you're reading a chart and the chart says C major 7 and it's C major 7 for 2 measures, hopefully you're not sitting there going, you know, God help you if you're doing that, you know. But there are guys that do. But if it says, something with it, you know, you're making something out of it. But so all of those, you know, and you can move those fourths around, like the first one we started, you know, the fourths, you can change their you know, where they are on your string sets. Of course, you can add notes to the top of them, you could add notes to the bottom of them, you could take the third and the second and put a note at the top, you know, anything like that. You know, or inner voice moving. Get some interesting things, you know. So, like I said, let it be a little seed for you. I think you can take it from there.